latest Golden State Warriors news and rumors here on Chat Sports. Let's talk Kelly Oubre, Harrison Graham, and Chase Sr. with you. Growing interest across the league for Kelly Oubre Jr., Chase, and even Steve Kerr acknowledged that this could be a possibility.
So Kelly Oubre Jr. going to be a free agent after the season, as you mentioned. And Harrison, there's going to be a team out there that looks at his skill set. They look at his age. They look at what he can bring to a team offensively. Coming off a career year last year with the Phoenix Suns, he's been better over the last couple of months.
Really picked it up.
And they're going to make a decision and say, you know what, Kelly Oubre Jr., we're lacking star power on our current roster. Why not pay him $15, $20 million? The Warriors can't afford to do that because they already have some big contracts. And Steph Curry is going to be due for a contract extension possibly after this season, if not after next season. So this is a player that I think the Warriors could be willing to move on from.
Yeah, and I think it's also one of those situations. You want to be as flexible as possible this offseason with your money if you are Golden State. And the reality is, if you bring back Kelly Oubre, you don't want him to be anything more than your fourth best player because Steph, ideally Clay is coming back. You got Wiggins still, you got Draymond, who, he can't shoot, but he's still a good assist man, a good defensive player. Do you want to pay Kelly Oubre Jr. 3 years and $48 million? Probably not. You see he's picked it up as of late. His trade value is much better than it was, say, 6 weeks ago.
And Bob Myers, he's one of the smartest front office executives in the entire NBA, right? If you can trade Kelly Oubre Jr., an expensive player, for a player maybe like Bogdan Bogdanovic, who might be cheaper, I think that's a solid option. And because Oubre has been in trade discussions for a while, Steve Kerr had something to say.
Yeah, and look, he acknowledged this, basically saying, look, this is the business of the NBA. He said, look, we've talked about a lot about his circumstances, being a free agent and having his name tossed around. Not an easy position to be in, but this is how it works. This is the NBA. He's got an expiring deal. He plays a position of need for a lot of teams. He's athletic and long. He's coveted. His name is naturally going to be out there. And he's exactly right. This is the exact type of trade target teams like because he's on the final year of his deal and he can play multiple positions and be good offensively and defensively as well. So will the Warriors trade Kelly Oubre Jr., type T for trade, type K for keep? This is one of those 50-50 ones.
Yeah.
I think Golden State, if they were to move him, would like to get something in return from that team or maybe a third team as well. We'll have to wait and see. So T for trade or K for keep. What do you think, Chase?
I think if the Warriors can get a similar player back who is cheaper, under contract for the next couple of seasons, knowing that Klay Thompson is going to come back at some point next year, and then you're looking at a core of Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Draymond Green, James Wiseman.
Insert player.
And insert player. I like the prospects of that.
And that's why you think they should trade him.
Yes.
If they can make that
exactly
happen.
Right.
Yeah, I think, and I'm with you on that. You're not going to re-sign him. Unless his market just dried up this offseason, which I don't really view that. He's a young, athletic wing. That's going to get at least $13, $14 million, in my opinion. He's young. I think there's going to be suitors for him. And look, Golden State likes the player, but Steve Kerr said it best. This is business of the NBA. He knows he knows the future of this team. Kelly Oubre is not a major piece moving forward. That's just the reality of the situation. They traded for him because they lost Klay Thompson.
Yeah.
Like that is why they brought him on board for this year. So trading him might be a possibility. Let's talk James Wiseman now on Golden State Warriors today. He is set to return against the 76ers here on Tuesday night after being in the COVID protocols there, Chase. And Steve Kerr says, hey, we're going to start him the rest of the season.
Yeah, and James Wiseman and Steve Kerr have kind of butted heads at times this year. Wiseman has kind of just gone against the grain at times when it comes to
the COVID test during the All-Star break.
COVID tests and the offensive system. He's kind of freestyled a little bit. You don't want to do that with Steve Kerr because he likes to have things in line and straight. James Wiseman, look, he's a really young player. He's pretty raw. And I think this is just Steve Kerr being hard on him because he understands the potential that James Wiseman has. And Wiseman at times this year has really flashed that potential.
Yeah.
But Kerr says yesterday, prior to that game against Philly, Wiseman's going to start for the rest of the season. Now, there have been rumors circulating for a long time that maybe the Warriors were in on guys like Bradley Beal, and in order to get a player of that caliber, they'd probably have to part with Wiseman. What I think this could signal, the Warriors want to hold on to their coveted draft pick. They want to build with James Wiseman. They see him as a part of this core moving forward, and I think they're kind of smart in doing so. Now, if you ask me, you put James Wiseman in a package with that protected Minnesota Timberwolves pick, and if the Wizards say, we'll give you Bradley Beal, you do that deal 10 times out of 10. But I think what this does is it shows Warriors fans out there that Steve Kerr is high on James Wiseman.
Yeah, and I think he's here to say, here's what Kerr had to say. Earlier in the season, made the switch to Looney. Felt like that was the right thing to do competitively and rotationally. And I think we did pretty well. Our defense got better, rotations improved. But this feels right now, this feels like the right time to do this. It will be great for James and to get a really good stretch here over the last 29 games. And I think that last part specifically really cements that. It would be a shocker if they trade Wiseman. And I actually think it's probably the right move because I don't think Beal and Levine are available. And I think those were the two guys that I would be willing to part with James Wiseman and that Minnesota pick for. Now that they're off the market, presumably, I'm not trading Wiseman for, I don't know, a Harrison Barnes or something like that.
Or a John Collins or something like that.
Yeah, I'm not doing that. I'm only doing it if I'm getting a surefire all-star, and that guy's not really out there. It's a lot of B and C level talent on the NBA trade market, so I think it's the right move. I definitely think it's the right move to get him into the starting lineup, Chase, and like you said, we've seen him flash. Let's beef up the minutes here. Let's get him 30, 32 minutes a game and see how he plays down the stretch. And depending on what the Warriors do at the trade deadline, maybe this team can sneak into the playoffs and have a young big ready to go.
And that's the thing with Wiseman is you look at the numbers right there, and he's only averaging 21 minutes a game.
Give him 8 or 10 more.
So give him 8 or 10 more. You give him 30, 35, and those numbers all of a sudden really blossom. Yeah. He gives this Warriors team much, much more in terms of production, and you also start to get his confidence going. He starts to get more experience. And hey, the Warriors are in 9th place in the Western Conference right now. Bob Myers has shown the propensity of being aggressive in years past. He went after D'Angelo Russell. He went after Kelly Oubre. So if he's not aggressive this year, continue to give Wiseman minutes and see what you can do.
Totally agree. I don't think Wiseman gets dealt, but we'll see if they add a piece. Name a player the Warriors should trade for before the deadline. Clock is ticking on Steve Kerr and Bob Myers. We'll see how aggressive Golden State ends up getting. And if they make a move, this is the place for you. YouTube.com/WarriorsTV. Golden State Warriors Today. That's our Warriors-only channel, so go ahead and check that out. If you're watching on Chat Sports, we do have a Warriors channel, believe it or not. I believe we're over 14,000 subscribers. Help us grow. If the Warriors make some big moves, we will cover it over there. If you're watching on our Warriors channel, all you got to do is hit that big red button and subscribe. Chase, myself, Tom Downey, we'll keep you guys covered on the latest surrounding the Golden State Warriors.